All right, what's going on, guys? Reed Orlando here with another episode of Reidspn Sports Podcast. There was a lot going on this weekend, so I just figured I'd talk about it a little bit. I haven't done an MMA podcast in a while. Been busy, just took another summer course, and just working, trying to have as fun of a summer as I can. Haven't had enough time to really do as many podcasts as I would like. So, anyways, first things first, we'll go over the U.S. women's national team right now. They beat France 2-1, I believe. Rapinoe had 4 goals in the last 2 games, which is unbelievable. The U.S. women's national team, I think the men's national team the women's national team needs to run off a little bit on the men's national team because we suck. In general, American soccer, or if you're from Europe or anywhere else outside the United States, football, we're just not very good. But the women's team, they continue to be phenomenal. We really are the best country for soccer in terms of women's. We're the best country in terms of women's soccer in the world, in my personal opinion. I do think we're going to win the World Cup, so I'm definitely rooting for the women's national team. I think eventually that they'll be able to get the same pay as the men's team because let's just be honest about it. I believe that they probably bring in more viewers, and I also think they're just better overall, and they're winning, and I think that we need to reward people for winning instead of paying these players on the national team that are men all this money. Meanwhile, the women are better, and honestly, they're more marketable than the men. I find that Rapinoe, what was that girl's name a couple years ago? Hope Solo. I think she's probably still on the team. They're more marketable than the men, in my opinion. I think they definitely deserve the equal amount of pay, if not more, in my opinion, because every time the World Cup comes on and their women are playing, every single person that I know watches those games. Now, for the men, for example, I didn't even really watch them. Well, they weren't in the World Cup this year, but I really never watched the men's national team. I have more fun watching the women play. They're a little bit more aggressive. They have a lot more heart, in my personal opinion, and they play like they have something to prove, so I love that. Now, what else did we have going on? Oh, tonight at 6 o'clock, we have the NBA free agency. That should be interesting. I'm hearing a lot of rumors about Kawhi Leonard going to either the Lakers, the Clippers, or a potential pairing with Kevin Durant in New York. My fingers are crossed. Please come to New York, Kawhi. There's no need to freeze your ass off in Toronto, Canada when you can freeze your ass off in beautiful, mean New York City. So I think that, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to come to New York. I'm not trying to get my hopes up yet. But there's definitely some interesting things going around in free agency now. We have the potential to sign Julius Randle, young Julius Randle, who's 24 years old, averaged 21 points per game. I think he averaged 10 rebounds or 8 rebounds, something in that range. But Julius Randle's a really nice young player, and I think he can complement the Knicks team and what we're building really well right now. He can play multiple positions. You can move him to the 4, you can move him to the 5, depending on who's the floor and who they're going against. But he's a very versatile player, and I love Julius Randle. I'd be very happy if we signed him. Kemba, it looks like he's going to the Celtics for 4 years, and I think that's a good fit. Now, he is 2 years older than Kyrie, but I think he's better in the locker room, and I also think that he's not as ball dominant, and I think the ball's going to be circulating a lot better with with Kemba on the Celtics. People forget they still have Gordon Hayward. Horford looks like he's going, but they have some pieces. And the other rumor I saw was that Terry Rozier might sign with the Knicks, and I'm not mad at that. I'm pretty I would be happy if they signed Terry Rozier because the bottom line is this: when he was in that playoff 2 years ago, he performed very, very well. And mind you, this year he only averaged 9.6 points and like 4 assists a game, but that's because Kyrie was playing most of the time. And you're kind of messing up his flow, Terry Rozier, because the more minutes that he gets, the better of a player he is. He needs to get in the flow of things, kind of like what LeVar Ball was talking about with his son Lonzo, that when he was on the Lakers, he'd be starting to finally pick up, and then they would pull him out of the game. That's kind of the same concept with Terry. He's still a very young player, and I think he would complement the Knicks team well. I do love Dennis Smith Jr., I'm not going to lie. But he's still young, and he's still got room to grow. I think that Terry Rozier right now is the more complete point guard. So we'll see what happens with that. And what else do we got? Kyrie, it's looking like he's going to Brooklyn. Honestly, I didn't really love him for the Knicks. I would have been happy if there was a pairing between him and Kevin Durant. But next year, Kevin Durant's not even going to play at all. So I think that we should definitely go after Julius Randle. Maybe if we do sign Kevin Durant, I don't know. I'd still be happy, but this year it's going to be a growing process for the Knicks for sure. I don't expect the Knicks to make the playoffs this year, but I expect us to continually grow. And I think now with R.J. Barrett, him actually wanting to be in New York and wanting to get drafted by the Knicks, I think that says a lot about his character, that he wants the spotlight, he wants to be in the Mecca, he wants to be in the greatest city in the world, and he wants to win in the greatest city in the world. And I'm very, very excited for this season. I just expect a lot of growth out of our young players. Now, if we wanted to, we could have some other trade assets if we wanted to do something with Alonzo Trier, because he was our shooting guard last year. But now that we have R.J. Barrett, I think that he's not going to get as many minutes as he did last year, and potentially he could be wasting his talent in New York. So it'd be nice to trade him, because I think Alonzo Trier is a very, very nice piece to any team right now. Honestly, he was a unsigned free agent coming out of college. He's a hell of a player. But anyways, so yeah, the trade's going down. We'll see by 6 o'clock tonight what happens. I'm sure there'll be some big trades, not big trades, big signings tonight from some teams. But the Lakers are really making some moves, man. If they're able to land Kawhi Leonard, I expect LeBron, Kawhi, and Anthony Davis to be unstoppable in the NBA, more dominant than the Warriors. Even if they kept Kevin Durant, I just think that is arguably, if they sign Kawhi Leonard, that would be the greatest three pairings of superstars of all time. You would have arguably three of the top 7 players in the world on one team. So we'll see what happens. I'd be interested to see it, but I'd also hate it at the same time, because I want the Knicks to get someone like Kawhi or Kevin Durant. But we'll see. Now, last night there was the fights. It was Fight Night Minneapolis. The main event, honestly, Junior Dos Santos, he is getting older. He was on that 3-fight win streak, and he didn't look bad at all. He threw some nice combinations. I thought that he had more technical boxing going into this before the whole fight. But all it takes is one mistake, and we saw that. Junior overextended that at right hand. He threw that overhand right, left the left side of his face open, and Ngannou just ended. He threw a couple hooks, and that was it. That's all she wrote. Francis Ngannou is the scariest heavyweight in the world right now. He hit that 2-fight losing streak with losing to Stipe, and then that weird fight with Derek Lewis. But he looks back, and I think that they're definitely going to throw him the next shot at the title after DC and Stipe. Now, depending on how Stipe and DC goes, I could see him fighting DC, and I could see that being a very interesting fight. Now, I could see it going one of two ways. I could see Daniel Cormier taking him down and wrestling him to death, or I could see Ngannou landing a bomb on him, like Anthony Johnson did with that head kick to break his nose, or that overhand right that Anthony Johnson threw and he dropped him. DC has been rattled before, and we've seen him knocked out, and that is a very interesting and scary fight for Daniel Cormier. On a side note, he's now doing that. He's working with ESPN Plus, and he's doing those breakdowns, kind of like what Peyton Manning's doing with football and for MMA. And I'm very interested to see it. He's doing a breakdown on Amanda Nunes, pound for pound the best female fighter in the world by far. I wouldn't say by far, but she beat Cyborg, so I'm putting her here, and everyone else is right below her. So it was a good night of fights, honestly. Damian Maia was able to pick up a win. I kind of watched them periodically because I was over at my uncle's, but who was someone that really stood out to me? The guy that knocked out Junior Albini looked really good. Is Desmond Green? Might be. But overall, Francis Ngannou, who's going to be able to stop that guy? He is definitely peaking. It's just scary how good he's gotten in that short of amount of time. It's going to be amazing. And then next week, I will be doing a breakdown for this officially. We have John Jones and Thiago Santos. That should be an interesting fight. Really, I don't see John getting in much trouble. John's never even really been clipped before, and as he gets older, he just gets more and more technical. One of my friends, I was talking to him last week, and he was saying, John's kind of boring now, and it's not that John's boring, it's that he's so good that he's able to neutralize every single opponent he faces offense, whether defensively with those kicks or offensively just constantly pushing the pace. And really just controlling the cage and using his reach. He's really coming to his own. His boxing has gotten substantially better. So I expect him to beat Thiago Santos pretty convincingly. And then maybe he'll move up to heavyweight, or I'll fight one more fight at light heavyweight, because I know that Luke Rockhold and Jan Blachowicz are fighting. I'm not sure the exact date on that, but I think that if Luke Rockhold wins, they'll propel him to the #1 contender to fight for the belt, which I think John is still going to beat him, but that's an interesting fight. Luke Rockhold's been calling him out for a while. He might have a better game plan than other fighters at the light heavyweight division because Daniel Cormier's faced him so many times and they are so close. So they might be able to pick up on some little habits that John does that he can capitalize. But I just don't see John really losing to anyone. That's just how I see it. I just don't see John losing anytime soon. He is, pound for pound, in my opinion, the greatest fighter of all time. And I found an interesting article this weekend, and it was saying that Dana White's trying to overturn his no contest win against Matt Hamill, which it totally should be overturned. And now, I had this explained to me by a couple of referees, that it's really hard to dictate a 12-6 elbow because it's really hard to actually know that you're hitting it on that angle. You can hit a 12-5 elbow. You can hit a 12 to 5.5 degree elbow. So it's really hard to be able to decipher if it's a 12-6 elbow. And I think that Steve Mazzagatti is the worst referee in the history of MMA. Him and Cecil Peoples, obviously. But it, I just feel that, what's it called? I just feel like it should be overturned. He was clearly winning that fight with Matt Hamill, and I saw Matt Hamill actually make an Instagram post. I don't follow him on Instagram, but I saw that he posted something and was like, I beat him with steroids, something along those lines. And I thought that was a little bit uncalled for. John's trying to take a new leave. He's trying to become a better man, and I think he's doing great right now. And I'm very happy for him because John is my favorite fighter in the world. It was just an unnecessary shout-out, and he said, let's run it back. I don't even know the last time you fought, but John would kill you. Not literally, but he would beat you pretty bad, and I don't think that will ever happen. I think he was just trying to get a little clout off of John Jones's name, which is okay, but they're two upstate New York guys, and I think John was a little bit offended by that, as he should be, because he was clearly beating Matt Hamill. Matt Hamill didn't have a shot in hell to beat John in that fight. The only reason he won is because of the 12-6 elbow. But it's really hard to decipher a 12-6 elbow, like I said, and I think that Mazzagatti should have taken a point away, even 2 points away, like when he kneed Anthony Smith in the head. Herb Dean had no problem taking those 2 points away. But it is what it is. John Jones, very excited to see him fight. It's going to be an awesome weekend of fights now. In other news, Henry Cejudo's out for a while. It's looking like he's out for a year. Joe Benavidez last night looked phenomenal over Jussier Formiga. He looked the best that I've ever seen him, Joseph Benavidez, especially against a guy like Jussier Formiga, who's so crafty, and he's a veteran. He's been fighting for a very long time, and he is clearly a top 3 flyweight in the world. Now, the thing is this, we got to see what happens with Cejudo, and we got to see which belt he is going to relinquish. I expect him to relinquish the bantamweight title, and I expect him to really stay at flyweight. He seems pretty passionate about keeping that division alive. So I definitely can see him staying there and getting a couple of good fights in with Joe Benavidez. If he beats him, maybe we'll run a third fight, which would definitely make sense. And trilogies definitely make a lot more money, and they bring more viewership. So I think it'd be a smart financial move for Henry Cejudo to do that. Let the bantamweight division play out right now. Aljamain Sterling made a tweet last night, and he was like, I believe that I am next in line to fight Henry Cejudo at bantamweight, but the way Joe Benavidez looked last night, it looks like Henry Cejudo should fight him, and I respect that. Aljamain Sterling, I was very respectful of you. Lots of respect, man. Honestly, that was huge of you to say, because you do deserve a title shot. It's just that we got to see what happens with Cejudo. He is hurt, clearly, Cejudo. And what else we got going on? Jermell Charlo won last night. I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw the last 2 rounds. He looked good. The Charlo brothers are 2 phenoms in boxing, for those of you that don't know. And that's about it. As weird as this sounds, I'm going to be watching Big Little Lies tonight. We got that going on. It's Sunday night. I get excited for that. Now that Game of Thrones is over, just trying to find some new series on HBO. I got into Deadwood recently, and I love Deadwood. Deadwood is interesting. No one my age, I'm 23 years old, really knows what Deadwood is. That was more of like it's something that my mom would have watched, you know what I mean? But so far, it's been good, Deadwood. I'm up to season 2. It's been interesting so far. Big Little Lies is interesting. Meryl Streep, I think 100% is going to win an Emmy. She looks unbelievable in it. Nicole Kidman, she's kind of taken a dark turn. Her role in Big Little Lies is getting darker and darker as the time goes on. And it's becoming really interesting, and I think this episode is going to be great. We'll see what happens. And what else we got going on? I'm trying to think. The weekend was good. Had a couple of drinks, went out to the Hudson Water Club down there in Haverstraw. It was fun. Honestly, it's good vibes over there. I always find that any bar near the water is always a fun time. I don't know why that is. But it's just more relaxed. and it's less congested in an outdoor bar opposed to going to somewhere, I don't know, where you're elbow to elbow with people and there's a lot of fights that can happen. I go to the bar 2 weeks ago. I go to Pro River Salute. There's literally 6 fights in a matter of 2 hours. I don't love that scene anymore. Maybe when I was like 18, 17, it would have been all right to be in that kind of vibe, but it's all about good vibes now, and that's why I like those little bars by the water. I'm actually going to LBI this Friday. I'm pretty excited, staying at my uncle's house. If any of you have ever been to the Jersey Shore, I'll hit the Shell over there. That'll be good. Or the Marlin, the good old Marlin. So that's really it, guys. Just wanted to recap the weekend of sports. I will have a podcast going this week, so since I have some free time, I'm going fishing tomorrow night. Shout out to my boy Eddie K right now. He's killing it right now with the striped bass over there in Brooklyn and Sheepshead Bay. Definitely looking forward for that. I've never caught a striped bass in my life. I've gone deep sea fishing multiple times, and I love to fish. I've been fishing since I'm a kid. I go black fishing. I go for ling, cod, sea bass, all that, fluke once in a while because that's kind of a rip-off. Maybe you'll get one fish that's of the legal size, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think he caught a 45-pound striped bass last week, which is unbelievable. If I caught a 45-pound striped bass, I would literally shit my pants. So I'm looking forward for that, keeping the energy high, keeping the positive energy high, just because I want to catch a striped bass. That's been the one fish that's been troubling me since I'm a kid. I don't know why I haven't been able to catch one. I even went striper fishing in the Hudson River at night a couple of times. Just never caught anything, but the Hudson River also sucks, and who wants to catch a contaminated fish anyways? So that's it. We got the family coming over for dinner tonight. Gonna have some steak, some nice USDA prime. Shout out Costco. Costco has by far the best meat out of any supermarket I've been to. Most of the time, these supermarkets, and what I find troubling is they don't have high quality cuts of meat. And what I mean by that, for those of you that are not educated on the whole meat industry, you just buy a steak because you want to eat a steak. There's levels to it. Now, USDA Choice it's the lowest out of them all. Black Angus is a step up from that. And then you have the cream of the crop, USDA Prime, and then the creamer of the crop. You have Wagyu and all the Kobe's. But USDA Prime is so worth the money. At Costco, it's about $13 a pound. It's about $13 a pound, which is very affordable for USDA Prime. You get some very nice strip steaks if you're new to the steak. If you want to get into steaks, and you if you really like steaks, you've got to look for the marble. Look for the more fat content. Don't go for the nerve where it's a straight white line. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about if you're looking at steaks. Just go for the little fat pockets because that is typically that's where the best meat is always going to be. And that's the advice I can give you for that. Shout out to Costco. Anyways, went on a little bit of a tangent today. Did a little bit more than my typical MMA / sport talk. So I hope you guys enjoy this. We're going to be doing more lifestyle podcasts and just talking. I'm trying to get some guests in here now that I'm officially done with school. So we'll get everything going. Thank you for listening, guys. It was good to do this again. I feel very happy that I'm back to doing this because I missed this for a little bit with school and all the other bullshit that's going on right now. So anyways, thank you for listening, guys. Reid Orlando here with another episode of Reidspn. Follow me on Instagram at Reidspn. Primarily, we talk about MMA, as always, because that is my specialty. But we're going to try to venture into other things. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys. Thank you.